Welcome in another episode of A Coffee and Move On. Today, I want to touch a little bit on PTSD and anxiety and everything that PTSD can bring into your life. What something that happened in your past, so a trauma that happened in your past, can impact your life. I would say like forever, or at least until you seek some help with therapy, or if you find a way to get over what happened to you. But before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Emma. I'm from Belgium. I'm 26. I am an online personal trainer, but mainly a sport massage therapist. I really enjoy what I'm doing. Is really working for yourself. For me personally, is life changing. I used to work in gym for years, but I liked it, but working for yourself is so much better, and I really, really enjoy it. And I decided to start doing some podcasts. It's something that I had in my mind for a long time, but with work and mental health, it's never something that I managed to do or managed to start until last week, where I did my first podcast, and now we keep on going. So, like I said, I wanted to touch on PTSD. I think it's something that a lot of people are struggling with. Personally, I know that I struggle with it. I went through a lot of trauma during my childhood. I will probably talk about it one day. Not now. I want to talk about it, but it's something quite big, or the traumas I went through are quite big, and they led to a lot of problem in my life. Some addictions, some depression, and a lot of things that I want to touch on later. But today I want to focus on PTSD and what PTSD can do to your life. So if you don't know, PTSD is post-traumatic stress, and it's something really common, and it can come to a lot of different forms. I know mine mostly is dissociation. For years, I felt dissociated, and what happened with that is now that I'm seeking the help of a therapist and I'm doing the work on getting it better, well, I start to get less and less dissociated. When I get a moment of heavy stress, it's coming back, but other than that, I feel more connected to myself. When I felt dissociated, I could literally do anything I wanted because I had no fear. I was like, if something happened, I don't really care. If I hurt myself, I couldn't really feel it, so I didn't really care. And now I'm so much aware of what's going on, and I'm more scared of doing things because now I can feel, I can physically feel if I enjoy myself, or if I get scared, or if I get anxious. I feel it. Well, before it was never something I could really care. I was just so numb and dissociated that I was not scared of anything. And most people, when they feel, of course, everyone feel it differently, but a good way of describing it, if you don't struggle with dissociation, is you're trying to talk with your head under the water, so you can hear some noise, but it's really blurry. It's like being like in a bubble, so you can hear everything, but really in a weird different way. Like if it's far away, or like literally like in a bubble, and it's a really weird way to live, and a really weird way to feel things that are happening to you. And when you are dissociated, what happens is that feeling is so strong of being in a bubble that you really disconnect with people. You feel like you're not even living on the same planet of them, because you see them doing everything that they want. You see them moving around and do stuff with their friends. How are they doing that? I cannot do it. I don't feel like I can make friends because they don't understand me. I feel like I cannot talk to anyone because they don't understand me. And you feel alone, even if you are surrounded with, I don't know, friends, family, partner, or whoever else around you, but you feel alone even when people are around you, and you don't even realize that you are on Earth. You feel like you are on a different planet. So yeah, dissociation can be really hard to live. And what happens is, for example, now I feel, like I said, I feel better, I feel less dissociated. But all the memories I had from when I was 12 to probably 23 years old, I have no memory, or it's more like a flashback or blurry flashback. So what happened to me in the past, my traumas, I see them in 4K perfectly, no blurriness, like perfect. But every other memories, the one I care about, that I should care about, are really blurry. It's like I have no idea of time. One day I'm gonna tell a story, I will be 15, and then the next day I'm gonna tell a story, I will be 12, or I will be 10, because I don't remember when it happened. I know it happened, but I couldn't tell you exactly what happened. I couldn't tell you at what age. I couldn't tell you what happened before or what happened after. Everything is mixed, and sometimes when I have a random flashback coming back up, but I couldn't really position it on a timeline, or every time the story gonna change or some character gonna change, because I don't really know exactly what happened, because it's so blurry that I have no idea. For example, I told my therapist a few weeks ago that randomly a memory popped up in my head, and I was in a party, but I don't even know if it was an end of year party with our school. I don't know if it was for a birthday. I don't know if it was in a boarding school. I don't remember if it was for just someone. I have no idea. I just remember where it was in Belgium. I remember that it's close to where I used to learn to drive with my dad, but that's it. I don't even remember what was there. I just remember one hallway and one table and a little bit of the atmosphere that was there, and that's all. And that's most of my memories that happened to me. So I feel like I lost a lot of years of my life being so dissociated. And it's a difficult feeling to admit when you get your feelings back and get you connect your body and your brain again, because when you dissociate you feel like they're not attached. So when you kind of get them back together, get them linked back together, and you realize that you lost, I don't know, 10, 15 years of your life with no memory, with just living, feeling numb and feeling just not yourself, or feeling like you were not living, you were just existing, and you were going through the day with your problems. Mine was over exercising. So from, I know, when I was 18 to still now, I was and am over exercising all the time. And then you say, okay, so I spent what, most of my life feeling miserable or numb, and just going through the motion and exercising until it was time to go to bed. It's a difficult way to accept that that was your life for quite a bit. And that's why, coming back to episode one, that when we talk about therapy, I think it's good to have someone that helps you move forward, and not thinking about the past and not focusing on what happened before, but focusing on what's coming up, what's coming next in your life. And that's why, like, our work that I'm personally doing is try to say, okay, yeah, you passed maybe like really blurry and you struggle to put back pieces together, but what is coming next? What's in your future? What are you looking forward to? You enjoy work, you enjoy working, well, focus on building up your business even more and growing your business even more. How can you do it? And is something always important to remember, and you always should have someone to back you up. But you don't have, especially to have a therapist, but you have need someone that you trust, because trust can be really difficult, especially if you struggle with trauma. Someone that you trust that can back you up and be there for you, someone you can talk to about what you're going through at the moment. PTSD is something really difficult to live with or to understand. Of course, everyone has like their different trauma. Mine, like I said, I will talk about it in the future, but everyone got their own trauma. Or even if two people have the same trauma, the way they're gonna live it, the way they're gonna feel it, the way they're gonna react to it is gonna be so different, and everyone's gonna be really different to them. And the problem is, if you are in a relationship with someone who also struggle with a trauma different than yours, but the PTSD of it clashes. For example, I struggle with control. I really struggle with control. If someone tries to control me, I freak out and I get numb, I get dissociated again, and I will get really stubborn until I get what I want or what I need. Because me being someone being in control of me is something I just cannot handle. If I be with someone who like struggle with a tough relationship and they need to also get control on their life and they feel like they always need to control what you're doing, it's gonna clash. So you need to find someone that can understand your trauma but not kind of triggers it all the time. If you are someone who have like problem with a relationship in the past where like they need now to take control of their life and you yourself have problem with being in control, it just doesn't match. There's gonna be like so much problem in the relationship. So the only way if you really love the person is to find a way to go through it. It can be like both of you doing therapist. It's going to be both of you going to therapy. It's going to be only one going to therapy and trying to talk to other to make them feel better and more secure about themselves and the relationship. There's so many different ways. So it's possible to date someone who like have the opposite kind of PTSD as you, PTSD reaction than you. It's possible. It's just, of course, really difficult and really challenging. The problem with PTSD is, of course, like we said, impact ourselves and the way we live, but it also, of course, can impact your relationship with your friends, your family, your partner, or whatever. It's just gonna impact a lot of things in your life, and at one point, you're gonna feel like your trauma gonna get control of your life. That what happened to you before is impacting your life on the day-to-day life, because everyone say, "Oh my God, come on, it happened in the past. The past is the past. Just move move forward, keep moving, just forget what happened." But it's not that easy. When you went through something horrific when you were younger, not only a kid, just something that happened to you in the past, when you went through something like that, moving forward is not a solution. You cannot forget what happened. You can, of course, like I said, yeah, move forward, but without, you cannot forget what happened. It will still impact you. It's gonna change you. A trauma gonna change who you are. A trauma gonna change the way you are behaving. A trauma gonna take control of your life. And the work of working on yourself is saying, okay, that's me, who I am, who I was, and that's my trauma. That's my trauma like reacting, that's my trauma speaking. So it's kind of like finding the difference between who you are and what your trauma is doing to you, or your trauma is controlling you. And that can be, of course, really challenging and something that can be really difficult to do by yourself. Again, I'm not saying that therapy is always a solution. It's possible to do it without therapy, but it's a work to do on yourself to find out who you are and what is your trauma. Because sometimes you may feel really lost when you're gonna have a really difficult conversation or something that are really gonna trigger you, and you're gonna like really angry, or you're gonna really freak out, or whatever the way you're gonna react. And people can be scared of that, or yourself, you can be scared of yourself and like, oh my God, why am I saying it? Or why am I doing it? That's not me. And it's funny, like, okay, that's not actually who I am. That's my trauma talking. When I get angry and I punch a wall, that's not me talking. That's my trauma talking. When I freak out because something happened and I want to walk for 1 or 2 hours, that's not me. That's my trauma speaking. That's my, I need to exit the situation now because I am freaking out. And it's finding the difference, is finding the line and saying, okay, that's my trauma and that I need to change, and that's me and I need to accept who I am. And that work in itself can take a long time. It's gonna depends on how many trauma you went through. It's gonna depends on how ready you are to work on yourself and to work on trauma, because it's gonna be really difficult to dig down on something you are trying to forget. Trying to dig into a trauma on something that happened to you and trying to remember every details, every noise, every sound, every smell, every moment or you felt before or after, or you felt during, is horrific. It's not something you want to do. It's gonna leave some scar, and you're gonna be feeling sad for weeks, and you're gonna have nightmares about it because it's gonna be on your head, in your head all the time. So it's a really difficult work, and it can take a lot of time to put the trauma in a box. You will never forget it. It will always be there. But it's finding like a way to say like, okay, I went through that. I survived it. I went through it. I can move forward by knowing that's in my past, but I won't let that trauma impacting who I am now and who I want to be. Because I managed to say that's my trauma talking and that's me talking. That's also like all of you trauma talking is also you PTSD talking. Is your body reacting to something? Is your fight and flight? PTSD is, I would say, personally, a fancy word to say fight or flight. Is literally your body reacting to something. If you go to a supermarket and someone hurt you when you were a child, and you go to a supermarket and you see someone with the same hair, or you're gonna smell the same perfume, you're gonna have PTSD. So what your brain's gonna do is just gonna be in fight or flight mode. You're gonna freak out, you'll want to escape, or you will want to fight, or whatever it is. But you're gonna have a fight or flight moment. So a PTSD is the same without not really being the same, but they both really linked. Of course, in the PTSD, you also have the dissociation, feeling numb, and all of that. And that's not only about the fight and flight, but in the PTSD, you have all those dissociation, numbness, angriness, struggle with emotions, struggle with people, insomnia, nightmares, and all of that. So it get a big range of things. You may have all of the symptoms of PTSD, or you may have a few symptoms of PTSD regarding on what you lived and or you are going through it and your own personal experience. So when you go through the symptoms of PTSD and you say like, oh, I don't have all the symptoms, I don't have PTSD, it's not necessarily true. You may have like 80% of the symptoms of it and still have PTSD. Chances are, if you're feeling really numb, if you're feeling really dissociated, you have memory losses and you have struggle to sleep or nightmares or flashbacks, you have PTSD. And that's when it's time to talk to someone. You can even just go to your doctor and say, this is happening to me. Can you help me? You don't especially need to go to a therapist directly. You can go first to see a doctor and say, that happened to me in the past. Now I'm feeling that, I'm experiencing that. Can you help me? And they will probably find a way to help you, because that's what doctors are for, is helping you not only physically but mentally as well. They cannot just like, oh, it's mental, I cannot help you. It's something about like your mental is also part of your physical, because if your mental is impacted, your physical can react to it. If you lack of sleep and you struggle to go to your day by day basic and you miss work or you injure yourself because you're just not paying attention, well, that's your mental impacting your physical, so they will help you as well. So if you cannot afford a therapist, go speak to a doctor and explain the situation and explain how you feel. I think people also don't really realize how severe it can be and how impactful it can be on your life. They may see you go through the day laughing and feeling like or acting like you're okay, but you're actually just putting a mask because you learn to copy what you see. If you see people laughing, or if you see people going to a party and getting a drink and laughing and speaking to everyone, you're gonna do the same because you learn to copy. So people won't actually see always that you are struggling with something, that you are struggling mentally with something that happened to you. And that's why it's good to open up to a friend, even to say like, I'm struggling, there's something not right with me, because what we see and what is actually inside ourselves is so different, and it's important to be able to open up because it's easy to copy. Like I spend my life copying what I saw when I went to a party or when I was at work, just copying what you're supposed to do. When I was working at gym and I saw people like go up and talk to members, I'm like, okay, that's what I need to do. I need to go up and talk to members. I need to smile. I need to be okay. I need to dance on the gym floor. I need to hype people up during classes because that's what I need to do. That's what I need to act because everyone is doing that. That's a coping mechanism, is learning to put a mask on and put different mask on different occasion. When I'm with my parents, I'm pretending that everything is okay. My parents don't know anything about my life because I'm so protective about it that I'm not telling them anything when I should, because I'm putting a mask on everything is okay. When I talk to my friends, I'm like, oh yeah, everything is fine. Oh yeah, that happened, no big deal. Like keep moving, keep smiling, keep. Let's go to the gym and let's get like a session, or let's get to somewhere, go for a walk or a coffee. It's fine because I'm learning to put a mask on because I don't want to what people are with my problems and my struggle. I'm like, just put like a mask on. When I'm to work, I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. Okay, what time? Okay, come on. What's your problem? How can I help you? Because I don't want to look sad or look distressed or look like there's something wrong with me in front of my clients. And you always learn to put a different mask on over and over again until the mask breaks, because it's gonna break at one point. Don't be fooled. You cannot like keep putting mask on every single time and not expecting at one point to just fall apart and break down. It's not possible. At one point, there's something gonna break the camel's back, and then people are gonna say, "Whoa, what happened? What's going on with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you getting angry? Why are you just starting to cry? Why you upset about it? Why are you yelling, or whatever way you're gonna react?" But there's one point where you're gonna overreact for something that is really small because you put so many masks on until like there's something you cannot handle anymore, and it's gonna be something so small. Don't expect that you're gonna break down for something big. You're gonna break down for something small, like because they don't have your favorite fruit at the supermarket or wherever it is, or your friends lost a random of your t-shirt that you didn't even care about, or didn't give you a DVD back, or wherever it is. You're just gonna freak out, lose your mind, and get angry, and they won't understand your reaction, and you also will be shocked of your own reaction because you will feel that that's not me. Well, actually, that part of you was waiting to come out and just came out at a really wrong time. In conclusion, I would say that PTSD is something that we need help with and we need more understanding about, because it's something that's not enough talked about. Usually, when we talk about PTSD, we think about soldiers and people who come back from the war. That's what we usually think about. If you think PTSD, you think, oh, this is that happened to someone who went to war. Where actually, PTSD can happen to anyone that went through something traumatic, and it's not only to veterans, it can be to anyone, and people have a tendency to forget that, and it's good to look up for the signs. So look up for the sign of PTSD, ask to a doctor what they are, go on like any like in if you're in England, go on the NHS website, they're gonna tell you the PTSD syndrome. Ask to a therapist what are the PT syndromes or whatever, but look out for the signs, seek out for help, because that's going to be the main important if you think you're struggling with PTSD. And if you suffer like me with memory loss, you're going to need to understand with the help of a professional that it's okay. The most important is what's coming in the future. Don't get stuck in what happened in the past, because you cannot remember what happened in the past. Talk to your friends, talk to your parents, talk to your family on trying to get some memory back. Just talk to them. Like, oh, can you remember me? What we did when we went on holiday? What did we do? Can you we talk to me about what happened on that day, or what did I do for my 10th birthday, or whatever it is? Try to talk to people that could have a memory for you, and try to put the pieces back together, and hopefully you can get some memory back, or at least of I feel that you didn't lose 10, 15, 20 years of your life. because it's not the case. You lived it. The memory is there inside you. You just need help to get it back or get access to it again. So anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this episode 2 of A Coffee and Move On. Please give it a like. Please share this podcast. I have a brand new podcast. There's some new equipment that's coming on. I'm gonna probably stay in the car for a bit because I enjoyed it. It's calm, like I said in episode 1. I got dogs that are quite noisy and quite energetic, and they like to be stuck to me. So it will be chaos if I do that at my place. It'll be chaos if I do that at my work in my office, because there's like passage all the time with kids screaming or whatever. So it's going to be impossible to do my office. So my safe place at the moment will be my car, but there's like some different equipment that's coming up for it to be a little bit better and a bit like more distance, so you can see a bit of part of the body and it's easier for me to talk. Anyway, so I'm gonna upgrade quite soon. Everything is coming quite soon, so hopefully we can get like a better and better podcast. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video or this podcast. So if so, please give it a thumbs up. Please share the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week for the next podcast.